Yesterday, Sayadaw explained Samma Vayama, right effort, which is one of the factors of the noble path. And Sayadaw explained how one should exert effort. One should exert initial effort, step up effort stage by stage, till one reaches one's goal. In this way, one should exert 3 stages of effort. Nikkama dhatu is the stepped up effort in order to overcome laziness. When practicing, the mind becomes slack, the mind becomes constricted. It will not be blossom or spreaded, and laziness arises. And the yogi does not want to exert effort, wanting to take easy in the practice, feeling exhausted, and so on. In the beginning of the practice, laziness is the nearest internal enemy which gives the most trouble. In order to gain upper hand, one should exert atapa, ardent effort. And also one should apply opposing force, which is vitakka. In order to drive out laziness, one should cultivate the force that overwhelms laziness, and one should also strengthen the opposing force. Yogis have to note even the rising and falling of the abdomen, and whenever the new object arises, one should exert ardent effort so that the noting mind will reach the object. Yogis should not be cold or sluggish, but yogis should be alert, active, ready to note the object, and one should continuously exert effort. And Sayadaw explained the benefit of exerting effort and also the bad consequences by being lazy. Listening attentively to this explanation, yogi should discuss laziness, and one should cherish the benefit of the practice. Such kind of yogi who has discussed on laziness and who cherish the values of practice will progress very soon. By exerting effort can overwhelm laziness, and one should also strengthen vitakka, aiming, directing, which is the opposing force of laziness. So in this way, whenever the object arises, in order that the noting mind should be concurrent with the object, one should aim and direct one's noting mind onto the object. Vitakka is called paripandana, meaning vitakka can keep the mind active. So it is not active, unruly, but it is active in a proper way. And kenji chalana, the mind is active so that the mind will be open, blossom, and fresh. The example is given here. When the flower bud gets the sun, the flower bud will bloom and open up into a full bloom flower. So in the same way, having vitakka, the mind will be blossoming, open and fresh. As there is pripandana, activeness of the mind, there will be viparava, the mind will be spreaded, open and blossom. So when the object arises, the noting mind, the mindfulness will spread onto the whole object. The mind will not be constricted or rolled up, but the mind will be open, blossom, spreaded and fresh, just as the flower bud will blossom in the sun. When vitakka is present, the mind will not be slimy or sluggish. The mind will not be exhausted, as vitakka, the opposing force, is present. So in this way, one should exert effort in the practice, and one should aim and direct the noting mind onto the object. Noting the object with effort and vitakka, yogi will overwhelm laziness every single second, so that thinamitta cannot arise. In order to remove the akusala dhamma, unwholesomeness that had arisen in the past, one should have strong wish in order to practice chandam dhaniti. One should have the wish to practice so as to remove the unwholesomeness that has arisen. Viriya arandati, one should cultivate viriya, effort, so that effort will arise continuously as a stream of current. In order to note the object without missing, without failing, one should exert effort continuously like a stream of current. And citam pagasati, one should uplift the mind associating with viriya, so that the mind will not be lower, it will not stagnate in the middle, but it will be uplifted. And also, one should have courage, one should practice without any regard to one's body and life. The unwholesomeness that has not arisen, associating with lobha, dosa and moha, should also be removed. And one should exert effort in order to remove the unwholesomeness that has not arisen. So in this way, one should prevent unwholesomeness that has not arisen from arising, and one should remove the unwholesomeness that has arisen. And one should exert effort in order to remove the unwholesomeness. So in this way, one should prevent unwholesomeness from arising, and one should remove the unwholesomeness that has arisen. And one will be blocking the path of papa akusala, one will be blocking the path of unwholesomeness, and one will be opening the path of wholesomeness. So in order that unwholesomeness should not arise, one should exert effort and one should uplift oneself by exerting effort. When facing difficulties as well, one should be courageous, one should practice without any regard to one's body and life. So, exerting effort continuously over and over again for 1 minute, 1 hour, and so on, the effort will be cultivated and increased. And also the mind associating with viriya will increase. And also the viriya will become stronger and stronger, more and more strengthened. So in order to prevent unwholesomeness from arising, in order to develop wholesomeness, one should exert effort. One should have the strong will in order to cultivate viriya continuously like a stream of current. And one should uplift the viriya effort so that it will not be lower, it will not stagnate in the middle, but it will be uplifted. And in order to overcome difficulties, one should have strong viriya that is continuous like a stream of current. And it is called arata viriya, continuous effort that is uplifted, that arises continuously over and over again. The person who has arata viriya, diligent effort, persistent effort, will live in comfort and happiness. Sukha viharati. The person who has diligent effort lives in comfort and happiness as the person is free from unwholesome thoughts. Paviveto papakehi akusalehi dhammehi. As the person is free from unwholesome thoughts, the person lives in comfort and happiness. By practicing with effort gaining momentum, the unwholesome thoughts will be away moment by moment. And as one continues to practice over some time, wanting to see good things, wanting to hear good sounds, such kind of kama vitaka, sensual thoughts, will be away. The kind of thought wanting to destroy others, yabada vitaka, ill will thoughts, will be away. Wanting to torment others with envy and jealousy, vihimsa vitaka, cruelty thoughts, will be away. And the person lives in comfort and happiness as these three wrongful thoughts do not arise. If the person is mixed with these three wrongful thoughts, the person lives in great suffering. Being free from these three wrongful thoughts momentarily, it is comfortable and happy. By practicing with effort, when one develops knowledge into mind and matter, cause and effect, impermanent suffering and non-self, and when the yogi gets the stage of discerning the nama rupa arising and passing away in a fast manner, then the effort is parakama dhatu, effort stage by stage till one reaches one's goal. So at the stage of Uddiyapaya Jnana, the viriya effort has gained momentum that it will not deteriorate, it will not stagnate, but it will go up and up. So it is the third stage of practice, Prakama Dhatu. Pakahita viriya is the uplifted effort. The example is given when an object is lifted up from the floor. One should lift up so that it does not fall down. It does not stagnate in the middle, but one has to lift it up so that the object will go higher and higher. In the same way, Pakahita viriya is the uplifted effort that does not deteriorate, that does not stagnate, but it will go higher and higher, and it gains momentum. When Vipassana knowledge becomes mature, then it will be Paripurna viriya, accomplished effort or fulfilled effort, and one will practice till one reaches one's goal. So one should exert effort in the practice so that there will be sustained mindfulness. The mind will fall calm and collected on the object. By exerting effort in the practice, the defilement that can arise by lack of mindfulness will have no chance to arise. So one is removing defilement. Removing defilement here means not giving these defilements any chance of arising. Exerting effort in the practice, the noting mind sticks onto the object. There will be sustained mindfulness. There will be satipatthana, firmly established mindfulness. The mindfulness will stick onto the object. It will not run elsewhere, but the mind sticks onto the object. Exerting effort in the practice, sati, mindfulness, sticks on the object, and the noting mind fall calm and collected on the object, and the mind will not go here and there. So there should be three kinds of mental strength: viriya, sati, and samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. Having viriya, having effort, it does not accept kilesa, defilement, from arising. So effort repels the defilement from arising. Having sati, mindfulness, there will be rakha varana guti. The mind is being guarded, protected, away from the defilement. Mindfulness protects the mind away from defilement, and there will be avarana, there will be blockage away from defilement, so that the defilement do not enter the mind. As the defilements do not enter the mind, with the protection of mindfulness, there will be guti, security, and one gains the benefits of being mindful, being secure, being safe and secure away from defilement. And one should have this security away from defilement every single second. Having security away from defilement, there will be mukti. The mind will be free from the defilement. There will be freedom away from defilement. If the yogi is mindful for 1 minute, there will be 1 minute of freedom away from defilement. The mind will not be agitated with raga, lust. The mind will not be agitated with dosa, hatred, and thus there will be sandhi, peace. So in this way, one should accumulate peace second by second, moment by moment. Having viriya, sati and samadhi, having effort, mindfulness and concentration, the mind is calm, collected, it will not be distracted, it will not be scattered, there will not be any remorse, but there will be peace of mind. In developing knowledge, also one can remove these defilements. So in this way, having viriya, sati and samadhi, having effort, mindfulness and concentration, transgressive defilements have no chance to arise. And by being mindful, having viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration for 1 minute, there will be peace for 1 minute. In this way, one should accumulate this peacefulness of the mind by having these 3 mental states, viriya, sati and samadhi. One should initiate, develop, cultivate and increase so that the 3 mental states will develop, cultivate and increase. Bhavana means initiating, developing, cultivating so that the mental states will become from small to big, from tender to ripe, from less to many, and one will have these benefits by practicing, and it is called saddhatha. One gains one's true welfare. In Dhammapada, Buddha taught the verse how one should value the effort. So it says that yoja vasasatan jive kusito hina viriyo ekahan jivitan seyo viriyan marambato dahlan. Meaning that the person who lives in laziness for 100 years and the person who exerts diligent effort for 1 day, the person who lives for 1 day exerting diligent effort is more precious, is more worthy than a person who lives 100 years with laziness. Rather than living 100 years, it is more worthy to live 1 day by exerting diligent effort in noting the object that arises. In noting the object, one should initiate effort. One should step up the effort so that the effort will gain momentum. An effort will become firm. An effort will be continuous, one after another, just like a stream of current. So the person who possesses such kind of continuous, diligent effort, who lives for 1 day, is worthy and precious than the person who lives 100 years with laziness. Yogis who are here are practicing Satipatthana meditation with effort every single second, day by day. So these yogis are uplifting their life by practicing diligently, and they should rejoice that they have this opportunity to uplift their life by practicing Satipatthana meditation with diligent effort. And to explain it in terms of jhanic factor, Vitakka, aiming, directing the mind onto the object, is one of the jhanic factors, and one should exert effort. Noting the object, aiming, directing the object, and exerting effort, the noting mind hits the target, and the noting mind rubs onto the object. Anumatana means rubbing onto the object, and the noting will be effective. Noting the object, aiming, directing the noting mind onto the object, exerting effort, the noting mind hits the target, the object of meditation. The noting mind rubs onto the object, and the noting will be certain. When noting rising of the abdomen, when the noting mind hits tension, yogi discerns tension. When the noting mind hits stiffness, yogi discerns stiffness, and there will be certainty. One should not be thinking about rising, falling, what it is, why is it, how is it, but by noting the object with aim and effort, when the noting mind hits the object, when the noting mind rubs against the object, yogi will be clear about rising, falling. Being clear about rising, falling, vicikicca, skeptical doubt, will be removed. Vichara is sustained application, the noting mind rubbing against the object. When vichara is present, vicikicca, skeptical doubt, will be removed. In this way, when noting the object, when the noting mind is aimed or directed onto the object, there will be vitakka. When the noting mind is aimed onto the object, micca vitakka, wrongful thoughts, will be removed. When there is vichara, sustained application on the object, the noting mind rubbing against the object, there will be certainty, and one removes vicikicca, skeptical doubt. So in every noting, one should note with aiming, directing the mind onto it, so that the noting mind hits the object, and also the noting mind rubs against the object. So the example is given here. During the young days, when one plays marble, one has to throw the marble to the target marble. And when the marble hits the target, the player feels happy, joyous. Being joyous, there will be satisfaction, and there will be comfort and happiness, and also the mind becomes calm and collected. So in the throwing of marbles, there can be piti, sukha, and ekaggata, joy, happiness, and collectedness of the mind. So the example is given here compared to the practice. When the noting mind hits the target, the object of meditation, there will be joy, happiness, and the collectedness of the mind, and one will feel happy with the practice. So when the noting mind hits the object, there will be piti, joy, there will be passaddhi, sukha, and so on. So yogi has to note the object with aim and effort, so that the noting mind hits the object, and there will be piti, sukha, and ekaggata, which are the jhanic factors. In order to develop the jhanic factors, one should aim the noting mind onto the object. As one practices aiming the noting mind on the object, and as yogi gains skill in noting, the noting mind becomes automatically directed with the object, and the noting mind hits the object. Samma Sankappa, right application, is one of the jhanic factors. When the noting mind is directed with stiffness, yogi comes to know stiffness. When the noting mind is directed with tension, yogi comes to know tension. And when the noting mind becomes direct with movement, yogi comes to know movement. So when the noting mind is direct with the object, Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, will become strengthened, and yogi discerns the true nature, such as stiffness, tension, and so on. And yogi discerns dukkha satya, the truth of suffering. So in order to develop knowledge, one should aim the noting mind onto the object, so that Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, will become strengthened, and yogi will discern correctly. And Theraji will continue to explain tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.